Welcome back to the 2 Months Podcast presented by BioSteel and powered by Go Goat Sports. I'm your host, Joshua Marshall. Tonight, I got Clay Vanderham with me. Vandy, how's it going?
Vandy is dandy. Well, fans, we're in one. Um, Buckle down.
Buckle down, eh, Vandy?
Yep.
All
Yep.
right. And we also got Phil Stockley with us. Phil, how's it going?
Going pretty good. Just really enjoying watching some stress-free playoff hockey.
Just having a go at it, eh? So, Vandy,
Yeah.
what's your thoughts of what you've seen into the playoffs to date as we record this late Sunday night?
Yeah. I mean, playoffs in general. I said it last time. Usually takes me a couple days, couple games to really get into it. But now you're into games 3 and 4 most series, so you're seeing the play even elevate that much. And you got everything from key injuries at bad times to fans blaming the refs for everything, and it's insanity. And now you've got on one hand you got Boston, who has two main players out, and they're up 3-1 in their series, and then they're questioning whether they should even bring these guys back just because the other guy, they got that much depth. And here on the LA Kings side, we're seeing tonight, the first period, you've got a guy returning that just adds another element to that line and makes them even more dangerous. Whereas I don't know if when I said we're in one, Oil fans, we are. Like, I don't know if we have the depth to keep up with that line. Granted, they're running on adrenaline right now, but I mean, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah. Before
Starting to sound like Bosco the other night there, Vandy.
No, I mean, I'm not. I mean, I'm not negative.
I
Maybe
was
I
negative, but
sound like it, but yeah, Bosco was fucking
I
negative.
was off the rocker. So
Here's what you're seeing, and you're seeing a healthy veteran laden team. I don't know how healthy the LA Kings were last year. Maybe they didn't have the goaltending that they got this year, and by them stealing Corpusalo out of Columbus.
and
I mean,
Gavrikov.
you're getting timely saves. We're in for it. We got our work cut out for us.
Wow, what a goal! Holy 2-0
Okay.
Kings. Arvidsson just danced. Vincent Desharnais, unreal. What a
Well, I was gonna ask you boys too. So I know Bosco and I have kind of talked off just like during the day or whatever, but maybe I could ask you this, Vandy. Like, how do you think the Oilers are lacking some veteran presence in their locker room?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, we knew that. Everybody knew that. I mean, this series isn't over. This game isn't over.
no.
But
No.
There's a
with the
lot of
firepower
hockey
we
left.
got, but I mean, you're watching a you know a veteran laden team, and over the text we saw the comment or that paragraph, whatever the hell it was, about how Tampa Bay's playing the referees. And look, these guys, this isn't their first rodeo. They know how to manipulate. And Arvidsson maybe is taking it, well, not maybe, he is taking it to the umpth degree,
Yeah.
but they know how to manipulate referees and without making it obvious. And look, it's
Yeah.
happening. I mean, I look at Leon's penalty last game. You don't need to do that, man. You got all Mo's on your side, and then you go and do that, and you give them an opportunity to get back in the game.
Yeah. Rob Brown
Yeah,
talked
it just
about
kind
that.
of feels like the Oilers are having a really, really tough time composing themselves. Even I think back to like game one, and when you've got any like little call and the Oilers are right up in the ref's face. So like that's what I mean by like no veteran presence, to be like, stop doing that. Just
Calm the
play the
fuck
game.
down. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I said it in the group chat. I feel like the Oilers play their game, they win. But the Kings obviously have them off their game right now. What do you think, Bosco?
Another weak call. So Kings are going to the power play. That was a bit of a weak call in a 2-0 game. I wouldn't be calling that. So that's a rough one. Kings going to the power play with 2:44 left in the first period. I think in general, I think even Marcus Foligno said it tonight. He had 2 calls against him in his game, and he called it complete bullshit. And those are the same refs, the same 4 officials, linesmen and referees that did this game in LA the other night, and they blew that call with the high stick on the overtime.
Let me ask you something. How many refs are there in the NHL? Referees.
Referees.
You know that?
They're so you can probably do it by math. Like I'm bad at math, but each referee gets 78 games a year. So out of 82, and you think I think it's almost, maybe around.
I'm getting 35 when I just looked it up.
Yeah, is that
Okay?
Okay?
So here, and correct me if I'm wrong. These guys bounce from series to these guys bounce from series to series, right?
Yeah.
What's the problem with sticking with a set group?
So you get a series supervisor who stays with you the whole time. But in general, you make a good point there, Vandy. It's never really been talked about. It's probably a question we could ask some of the people inside the know. But
like if you get 4 guys and they do, or even 8 guys, and you're mixing back and forth, and I don't know if that happens now or not. I don't pay that close attention to it, but at least they get when you get into games 4 and from deciding games on,
the standard stays the same, right?
yeah, and these guys can talk, and here's what's happening. You got Kane and Doughty have been going at each other for 4 games, so just watch that stuff. You know what I mean? I don't know. And again, I don't follow it enough, but I don't know. I'm trying to think diplomatically here, but look, at the end of the day, the refs are not the reasons why the Oilers are down 2-1 and down 3-0 in this series.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
So Phil, what's your thoughts on what you've seen so far in a whole from the playoffs? And we'll kind of get back to the Oilers here. I know we're still on track with the theme here, and obviously as we record, the theme is on. But what have you thought from what you saw from pretty much every series that you've watched so far?
It's been pretty fun, but the thing that just like drives me nuts, and I know we've just been talking about it and we were talking about it earlier, is I just feel like officiating's kind of taken a front seat in this playoffs.
Yeah.
And whether you're I don't know, is there any series out there where there hasn't been complaints about the reffing? My question is
every series has seen it. Yep. I agree.
Yeah. So it's like what are the refs being told? Right?
Yeah.
Because these refs are it's not like they're gonna be terrible on purpose. They're trying to ref their way to the NHL finals, right? Just like these teams are trying to play their way to the NHL finals.
So this is the playoffs for them too. Not every ref that was doing every game all year got this. So obviously there's an assignment that they get. They get a report card after every game. Fiala is he has made a big impact and difference in this series so far. And it's only a period in, but it's interesting to kind of see, because in that situation, you're rewarded for your great work during the 78 games you get throughout the year, and then it transitions over to this here, and then as the playoffs go on, obviously there's less teams, so there's less officials. Jason Gregor put it out. He thinks the officials that did the LA game or their game the other night and they did the Stars Wild game, he doesn't think they'll go on to the next round at all, just because it's been some pretty bad calls with those officials in the last 2 games that is obvious. But you know what? At the end of the day, I think there's some veteran presence. We're seeing what happens. This crypto.com arena is off the hook. We'll see if Skinner starts the second period or if Jack Campbell does. Right now, see if there's changing momentum of that. It's not on Skinner right now, but just that gives you a different momentum of something in the series. But yeah, I think in general, like, it's tough to see what's going on with the officiating. Dom Lecision from The Athletic put out a great article about how bad it is, and this is not just this year. Now, did you guys get a chance to listen to Rod Brendamore on Elliot Friedman's podcast of what his theory is and how we could fix this going forward?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Yeah. So Cole's notes of it, he was saying he approached this about 5 years ago. He would like to see two less officials on the ice. So you have a linesman or whatever, you have a linesman and a referee in the penalty box. So if there's a skirmish or anything like that, they can run out and help out. But you have kind of what you were talking about earlier, Levani, is like you have a linesman and that guy drops the puck the whole entire game. So it's not this guy's different than this guy. So you get the same standard of how you drop the puck throughout the whole game. So you're not kicking guys out and all that stuff. And then obviously he has the official on the ice who makes the calls, but the official in the penalty box is quickly, because he says with the iPads and the stuff that they get on the ice, they're getting it within 5 seconds of it happening. So if they hit the post, within 5 seconds, it's on an iPad for the player or the coach or someone to see the replay of it. So he's like, if the way to get the calls right is that official that's in the penalty box is relaying to the official on the ice, no, that's a call. Yes, that's a call. That was a bad call. This was a good call. And he's like, the way to steal that time, because you still want the game to go 2.5 hours, is you steal that time in the 9 dead minutes that there is in a period, which is called the TV timeouts. So there's always 3 TV timeouts per period. Those are 3 minutes long. You steal those times there to get the calls right. So if you do got to go in there and sit down and review something, you steal that time. So when you so the flow of the game still stays the same. So when, say, if they're reviewing something for a minute to two, sometimes we do see reviews go on for 10 minutes or plays, like the skirmish that happened with Toronto and the Toronto and Tampa Bay. That was a 9-minute delay in the game. So, that's 14 minutes at the start of the period. So he breaks it down better. He's the one that has the idea. I would highly suggest anyone listening, and you guys, when you get a chance, find that in the archives for Elliot's interview. I think I put it in the internal chat. I think what he did is he I would like to see it happen. Elliot, I talked to him about it, just away from the pod, and he agrees that he would like to see it happen, because at the end of the day, you get the call right and there's consistency.
Yeah, I think that's all everybody's asking for.
Yeah, is this consistency? Because Draisaitl said after the game, the standard is changing, and I understand the standard is changing, and that's a bad thing when you do come out and you say what you say. Sheldon Keefe, John Cooper, Draisaitl, McDavid, Woodcroft. The last thing you want to do is when you come out and say something to worry about the next game that it's a must win.
Yeah,
worry about, am I getting jammed up because I said something? Because they are, and one of the things that I loved what Rod Brendamore talked about is because he hated that the fact that these officials get kicked out of the league at a certain age. So then the new guys coming in aren't groomed and ready to take over. So you keep the better officials in longer. On top, you keep the better officials longer. There's the less wear and tear on the bodies because not all of them are on the ice. They're not getting hit.
I do remember seeing an excerpt of that comment in particular. And I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. Now, Vandy, what's your thoughts on the Leaf series? Well, as we record, I've been.
That's why you're in a jolly good mood. No,
look, it wasn't last night when they're down 3-2. But
you said it right before I did when we were texting last night. They don't win that game.
Yeah, last year, the year before that, the year before.
They don't win that game.
No,
man, they lose that game in overtime, or it doesn't even go.
And I think Keefe said that after Bosco said that too.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, you lose that game outright. It doesn't happen. Now, look at who scored the game tying goal. The factor, right? Ryan O'Reilly.
Again, going back to what Philly said, right?
Yeah.
That I've been there. I've been here. Guys, don't worry. And I think he even commented about it, or one of the analysts commented about it. Hey, let's just calm down.
Yeah.
There's no pressure, guys, or whatever it is, just knowing that he's in the room, or a player like that is in the room, and you don't have that feeling like you're going through this alone, but as a team, if that makes sense to anybody. But where you know that, okay, we're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
It's 3-2 with 2 minutes left, 5 minutes, whatever it is. We're gonna be okay. Just calm down, everybody. Blah blah blah. But because it's one thing for Keith and the coaching staff to say it, but it's when you hear a peer that has been there and done that and knows what it takes. And look, Ekholm has been incredible for the Oilers and is going to be incredible for the Oilers, but he hasn't won.
Yeah.
He hasn't won that, been in that situation. Has he been to the playoffs? Yes. Has he been to the finals? Yes. But you got to have that winning pedigree. Duncan Keith, Kane. You don't think Kane's having a massive impact on the Rangers right now?
100% he is. Yeah, you're right.
Like, man, it's just, you need that. And unfortunately, the Oilers don't have that. But look, at the end of the day, we're down 3-0 going into the second period, and here we go.
Yeah.
But no,
and that just got me thinking too. So like right now, what's happening in that locker room? Like, I'm just so curious what is happening in that locker room. Who's standing up and saying something? Who's speaking, right?
Yeah. There's
I know we were talking about the Leafs and we're going back onto the Oilers, but
yeah.
Well, I just
watching
it's
this everywhere. Look at
here. Just
look at even Florida, man.
Yeah.
Like Florida, I mean, maybe if you got a couple vets on that team.
You got Eric Stahl won a cup early.
I get it, but
is that the guy?
No, okay.
Yeah. I
maybe
don't know.
Bad example,
but I don't know if that's the right example though. Like, I know he's won. He's not the same. Like
you're right.
It's not the same player he was when he won the cup. I'm saying,
but still, just him being around by osmosis.
Yeah,
that was a bad example because they're up against a goddamn juggernaut in Boston. Yeah. But I don't even know. I'm drawing a blank right now, but I mean, you look at Dallas Seguin. Look at the game he had tonight.
Yeah.
These guys that have been there, it makes a huge difference, right?
And he was a part of the Bruins early cup.
Correct.
Luch, right? So you touched on it there. Now the Kings, they only have Kopitar and Doughty, but two guys that are going straight to the
Hall of Fame players.
Exactly, they're going straight to the Hall. It's not like got a long list. And I always ask this question with the insiders and the analysts, and they always go, find me a team that has, besides the team that just won, if you eliminate the team that just won, find me the team that has so many veterans on it. They would love that. They don't grow on trees, right? So it's like, that's why I look at, like, say if Calgary got in, how many of those guys have won a cup, right? So and especially the way they were going this year with the 1-goal games, you win some of those 1-goal games or those overtime losses to go the other way, they might be doing something in the playoffs. They might not. I don't know. They obviously didn't make it, but I just look at this team, and Phil, you want to touch on this more because you touched on it earlier today and a couple of times with me before, but can you really dive a little bit more deeper into the psyche, the thought process with having like a Duncan Keith and, some of these other guys in this room that this team doesn't have right now? Can you elaborate a little bit more than what you were doing with me earlier today before we did the recording?
Just what I was just like saying earlier, like there's like nobody to like calm these guys down and like get a hold of a kid and be like, hey, you know what? The way you're acting towards the referee, like that's gonna get you a penalty. It's gonna put us into trouble, right?
Yeah.
So just and that's the first person I thought of, like, to even like today, thinking about the Oilers, like how much are they missing a Duncan Keith? And like, even to like a lesser extent, like even like Mike Smith, like a guy like that. Like, because I guarantee you, Mike Smith wasn't shy to speak in the locker room.
And I know he didn't win a cup, but Mike Smith was probably one of the best goaltenders in the history of the game in our era that was so great in the playoffs, but never won. Like his playoff numbers are off the charts, like off the charts. Like he never got blown out in any. Like I know in some of the series that he's a part of that he got swept, he was the last guy that was the problem in that. Like he literally stood on his head in that Jet series and even in that Colorado series, he was really good too. So there's a few of those games went to overtime too, but I don't know.
I think he got very like overshadowed by Leon and Connor in that Calgary series last year too.
Yeah, exactly. He had the first bad game. He got pulled after that. He stood on his head. No one really ever talked about that, right? Koskinen came in and he never relinquished the net after that. Obviously, he won 4 straight. So, and then in that series. But I don't know. And so, what, Vandy, your thoughts on this? Drew Doughty said this after Game 3 to Scott Oak that he's like, yes, everyone's talking about the Oilers, the high flying Oilers, the high powered Oilers. But what about the LA Kings? He's like, we haven't played our best game yet. Ryan Whitney just called it out on Twitter, saying this is the best game the LA Kings has played in quite some time, and especially in this series. Can you talk a little bit more about that and those comments? And there is 40 minutes left. There's a lot of hockey left, but if you can dive a little bit more deeper into that.
Quiet confidence.
Yeah,
it's a scary. I mean, it's like the quiet kid that gets picked on at school kind of scenario, right? And then all of a sudden he blows a gasket and beats the shit out of the tough guy. They're he came out and he threw the first jab when he said we're gonna smack him, and everybody in Edmonton's going, oh my god, can he say that? Well, yeah, that's the mentality in their room, and that's why you go back to what Philly was saying. What's going on in that locker room right now?
Yeah,
like what we got to smack back somehow, some ways. Grab somebody. Fiala's having a whale. So I mean, it's that, but that's that veteran leadership. Whether Doughty was healthy last year, whether they were healthy, and they don't forget there's a lot of history amongst these two clubs.
Correct.
The first thing being the coach.
Yes, the biggest.
I mean, he grew up with these kids, and as when they were kids, he knows their tendencies. What's the number one thing you want? As a coach, you're looking for players' tendencies.
Yeah.
Who knows better than the top 2 players in the world than Todd McLellan, Dave Tippett? These guys, they know how these players tick.
Yeah.
That you tell me that McLellan was here for 2 or 3 years and he didn't get into the psyche of 97 and 29, 100%.
Yeah. And you're a coach, it. So
yeah, I mean, you see it. I've coached really good players, and I've coached against good players, and I know I would know how to get into the psyche of each of these kids. And Todd McLellan is no different. Not comparing myself to Todd McLellan. So ease up on Twitter when you come out, but no, I'm just saying, like, he knows, hey, Draisaitl hates it when you whack the back of his legs. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's that confidence, that swagger that they have, and Doughty has it. There's probably no bigger villain in Western part of the NHL than Drew Doughty.
Yeah.
And then you add Kopitar, who's that quiet, strong, just powerhouse leader. Yeah. And I'm stroking them off now because they're up 3-0. But
there's a lot of hockey left.
I know there is. I mean, we've got two of the best. We got 2 of the best players in the world, and we're 3 shots.
The 2 best.
Yeah, the 2 best, and we're 3 shots away from tying this game. So,
and regardless of whatever fan base,
but it's a quiet confidence. It's that they're in that room going, "Hey, we're not." It's 0-0. Back to the novice days when you're up 10-0 after the first period. 0-0, boys. Tie game.
Start picking away. Yeah.
So,
and it's funny you say quiet confidence, because I just looking at Oiler fans and the Oilers, it's like they were almost like a loud confidence, right?
Yeah.
Like the opposite.
Yep.
Yeah. Vandy, your thoughts on the Jet series versus the Golden Knights, what you saw?
That's a big boy series, boy. Yeah.
Oh, like, I know you love that one a lot. So
I watched, that was the first game I watched yesterday, and it was I mean, I've seen highlights, but wow, like they're big boys playing a big boy game. It ain't over. It's going to be fun watching that come down to the end.
Yeah, and you know how
Morrissey. I mean, Jets losing Morrissey's huge.
and Ayler's not playing. That's those two big ads, one up front,
Yeah.
one on the back end, and you're seeing how much these injuries are impacting teams going forward.
Phil, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, what's your thoughts, Phil?
It's that adversity, right, coming in now. So we'll see how they respond. But I just like, isn't this just like why hockey's like the best game in the world?
Oh
Because
yeah,
you never know who's gonna win.
I was
Like
just saying
when
it
you think
before
about
this.
like the NBA, you know who's gonna win the NBA championship every year.
Yeah,
Even like the NFL, you pretty much know who's gonna be there at the end.
Well, it's scripted.
But in hockey, anyone can win, and anything can happen any night. But with Winnipeg and Vegas, like I have no clue. I have no clue who's gonna come out on top tomorrow night and who's gonna come on top in the series. Like I have no clue, and that's such an awesome thing. That's why it's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, it's a fun ride for sure. Is there any other series, Vandy, that kind of stick out to you that you've been super interested in, and obviously the Stars tied up 2-2 now. Going back there, they get the home ice. It's now a best of three. We're seeing what the Carolina Hurricanes can do on the opposite end of losing players and still finding ways to win.
No, I mean, I think they're all pretty much shaping into what we thought it would be.
Yeah.
I think in Colorado yesterday, bursted a bubble in Seattle, and Colorado showed that why they're the defending Cup champions. But no, I to me, I'm probably more focused on the West right now. But yeah. I think when I look at the East and the scores, they're all everything's shaping up to what we thought it would be. I did, everybody knew that the Devils are young. They're getting a taste, getting their feet wet, just the tip, so to speak. But
I picked Florida.
Hey,
I picked Florida to win that series.
Yeah.
Over Boston?
I did. Yeah, I picked them in 7.
Developing story here. Jack Campbell starting the second period for the Edmonton Oilers as we record this.
Oh, that's a shocker.
But Phil, your answer to the question I just posed to Vandy.
Yeah, I think last night, huge win for the Devils. To go down 3-0 to Shesterkin and the Rangers, I think that would have been probably it for them. So huge overtime win for them. It was kind of funny. I was texting a buddy during the Colorado Seattle game, and it's like, how, I bet you like those Colorado Avalanche are just like thinking like to the Seattle Kraken, like just go away and like leave me alone, like because they just pick and they just go and go and they don't go away, right? They're a team that doesn't go away. And that's kind of been their whole season, right? Everybody thought, they're going to fall off in the second half of the season, but they didn't. They got in there. And again, I think they should be proud of what they've already done in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's still not over because that team just fights and fights and fights.
100%.
Vandy, can you dive into kind of the evolution of what we're seeing in the game with you've involved with it on the minor hockey, but you're starting to see a lot of the Cale Makar types, might not just be that guy, but in the game of seeing and what Makar was able to do and how that is such a trend in, minor hockey with defensemen and, what kind of things that that he does well that maybe you teach some of your kids or can show highlights or clips of the kids that you have on your team and other teams around.
Well, he's must watch TV for kids that are defensemen. I mean, I've got a kid on both my older boy and my younger boy's team where their favorite player is Cale Makar. And what's he been in the league? 3 years?
Yeah.
4 years, whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're looking at and I've watched some of Brody and Rupp's kids' games, And there's kids at that level that are,
ripping pucks like him in a way.
yeah, well, not only that, but just the footwork in general
Walking the line.
is what it is, right? It's the patience, the footwork, and combining it all into one, trying different stuff. And look, at the end of the day, that, to me, at the minor level, that comes down to coaching. Allowing these kids to maybe try a risky play at the blue line, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, and I still preach it, I still coach it, 5-foot rule, get it in, get it out, that kind of thing. But if you can, and what I tell my defense is, us forwards, and I say, because I was a forward, I said forwards aren't that smart. So if you can give them a little shimmy, they're going to bite on it all the time.
Yeah.
So make that move. But got to remember, there are some forwards that are smart and very active with their stick, and all it takes is a poke away and they'll get a breakaway. So you got to be able to get back on your horse and whatever. But at the end of the day, that position is changing and evolving, ever so slightly. But then you look at it, you look at it almost like a 3-1-1, whereas then you go, there's still different positionings, and you look at the LA Kings, they're doing a 1-1-2-2 or a 1-3-1 kind of situation. But if you can get that kid that can do that, and credit to the coaches that are allowing that to happen, and that's where the kids get confidence now.
Yeah. So. Yeah, for sure. I know that he's from Calgary, Clay. Phil, and you like Makar a lot. Is there something about his game that you maybe show your kids, and something you want to elaborate more on, kind of what Vandy was saying there, before we close out?
I'm just glad when my kids stay on their skates for a couple of shifts in a row.
Yeah, exactly.
It's absolutely like, and my kids will like pick players to just watch highlights of. Like they'll jump on YouTube and they'll like pick players, and yeah, absolutely, they'll go to Cale Makar, and it's so much fun to like see a defenseman who can make moves like that, and he's like so offensive. It's like, do you guys like remember like when we all thought like Erik Karlsson was so offensive, and obviously he is. He like
It's
led
in a different
defenseman
way,
in points
right?
this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's true. It's in a different way, and it's like Cale Makar like does things that like you've never seen before,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a lot of fun to watch. And even like my kids at 7 and 9 years old, they like love it. They like love to watch it, and it puts a smile on their face, and they get excited when they watch him play. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's, if my kids could take anything away from Cale Makar, you're gonna say, yeah, probably take it and run with it, right? So
yeah, for sure.
Here's the thing: all these kids, whether forward, whether defense, are going to the pretty much the top end kids, right? They're going to the same school, like the same coaches, the same development
teams,
guys, and
yeah.
and they're, it's just whoever takes it to the next level and practices it outside of the realm of a structured base, right? If they're going to the outdoor rink and they're trying these 10 and 2s and all that shit. But yeah, at the end of the day, they're, it's some kids are developing at a rapid pace.
Yeah.
So
all right. Looks like we're gonna close that out. I don't know. Are we coming back to do a recap of this game, or this is it? What do you guys figure? This will be a late one for that if we're gonna do that, but it's up to you guys.
well, it's gonna go to overtime, so probably not.
Okay. All right. Okay, no
We
worries.
do one tomorrow. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whenever, I'm good.
Okay.
I've got a.
So what's last thought then, Vandy? What's the game plan if they go down 3-1 here?
Well, they're on the power play, so
if they go down 3-1,
I mean 3-1 in the
you got to
series,
chip
yeah.
away. I mean, it's the old cliche. It's one game at a time. Look, at the end of the day, in order to win a series, you got to win one on the road, or you got to win 2 on the road. Now you're gonna have to win. You're gonna have to win 1 on the road. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you have to win at home, obviously, to extend it, but you'll have to
Yeah.
go back to LA and find.
I
a
got
win,
confused
but
there for a minute.
No,
But yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to
And
win one on the
I'm
road.
only saying this hypothetical because we are not recording after this game. But
yeah,
if you win, you're still looking pretty good coming home, tied 2-2 in the series.
Yeah.
But if you lose, like that's
You got
I
to
just
score on
feel
this
like the
power
Kings
play.
are
You
going to
don't
be.
score on this power play,
Yeah.
game's over. Go to bed.
Yeah. And then obviously you're going to load up Draisaitl and McDavid for the rest of this game. You know, you got 11.
Well, they did that to start the game.
They did, yeah.
Hey, listen, I know we all want to go watch the game, but I mean, the question needs to be asked. But what's the definition of insanity, right?
Yeah. The
Doing
Calgary
the same
Flames
thing
this
over and
season.
over. Well, doing the same thing over and over and over,
Oh,
and
Boosh
expecting.
bomb.
We got a goal.
3-1. Yep, the Boosh bomb.
Hey, you needed that now.
Yeah.
But look, you got to lock shit down at the end of the day. Woody, you got to change the way you play.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Okay. All right. We'll be back to recap this episode in the next day or two. So to preview the next game. But yeah, any final thoughts you guys want to add before we jump out?
I'm good.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
Enjoy the rest of the game.
All right. Let's chat soon.